Reading from the Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta, Chapter 1, Book 2, Chapter 1, Text 39. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Vastu-tattvānabhijño nyat, kiñcit pāra-laukikam. Sādhanaṁ, kila, sādhyaṁ, vartamānam, amanyata. Ignorant of the real facts, he saw that something other than this mantra, something in the next life, must be the means of success and the goal of his endeavors. Amanyata gananjana shalakaya taksur unmalatam yena tasmai Shri Gurave namaha. Shri Chaitanya mano bhishnam Stapitam yena bhutale Swayam rupa kadamayam Dadati swapadantikam Vansha kalpa tarubhyascha Kripa sindhu bhayevacha Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So greetings from the Govardhan Bhakta Seva Ashram. Still going quite exciting. Most days, well, I walk, but how far I walk, but generally try to walk half around the hill. We did that today. And then at 11 o'clock, we went to Sri Rupa Seva Kunj, this project inspired by His Holiness Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta Swami. And I gave class to 80 people who were on a retreat there. I can't describe it. It's a spectacular place. 10,000 trees, Radha and Shyamakund, deities in separate huts for all the 6 Goswamis, a beautiful Rajasthani guest house, Japanese gardens, an incredible cafe. I mean, really amazing cafe. And Champak's mother and her stepfather in charge, so anytime I go there, they give me a bag of goodies, incredible stuff. And 2 days ago, I went there. There was a program with Sachinandana Swami by their Radha and Shyamakund. I mean, it's beautiful, surrounded by this forest, about 100 devotees. So it's 5 minutes by auto rickshaw. It's a 30-minute walk for me. And I asked Jai Jagannath if he wants to go. He wanted to go, and I took and showed Jai Jagannath the cafe. I came 20 minutes early, and I was so warmly greeted by the whole Kafi family. I was shocked. About 15 or 16 of them were there in the cafe. Really amazing. And then we went to this program. It was almost surreal. On this stage of tastefully done of cow dung and these little wood bamboo poles. They made a nice stage before Radha and Shama Kund. And they had excellent musicians, really excellent. And they played this raga, this background music as Sachinanda. I went for 2 days, was explaining a very nice lila about Radha and Krishna. And then afterwards, Achyuta Gopi led kirtan. And then today I was invited there to speak to a group of 80 people, which was really nice. And they wanted me to speak on Poganda Lila. So it's really, and Sri Rupa and Krunapurna, they're just fully engaged. No rest for the wicked. They just, before, they're not back yet. They're supposed to be back for class. Last day they went to Barsana. Yeah, so it's a nice atmosphere here in Govardhan. And now there's a retreat with Sachinandan and a devotee Gauranga Darshan on the other side. So let's get to this verse. And again, this brilliant book, Sanatana Goswami, has this mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to deliver what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give. Anarpita charim charat karunaya vitirna kalo samarpyatum unatojvala rasam so bhakti. This incredible bhakti, God's devotion of himself in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which is not something that can just be understood by our logic. I gave a seminar, Can God Be Blue? A study of Krishna. And my answer, I kind of was joking, and I just said, well, anyway, can God be blue? If there's a reason God is blue, then he's not God, because there's something that above him that causes his existence. So why is God blue? God is blue. God can be anything he wants. So the spiritual world, although this world is reflected there, and we can understand something about God from this world, ultimately, it runs independently of the laws here. And therefore, you can't really understand it by just progressions of logic, of cause and effect, how things work in this world. Especially this subject, which is the very confidential knowledge. And when something is confidential, it's something that's not revealed for either one or two reasons. Of course, you'll misunderstand it and harm yourself, or you'll understand it and abuse it. But generally, confidential means only you need a particular frame of reference which is in the person's heart to understand it. So this is not easy subject matter. In fact, we know in the Bhagavatam, the pāra-laukikam, Krishna says, I cannot understand this love, therefore I cannot repay you. The force of this love. And this kind of love where is not this kind of love is not easily understood. in this world is confidential. And therefore, Sanatana Goswami it's not an easy task for him. You can imagine him when he realizes this is my job. And it's one of those things is, if with the service comes the ability to do it, but it's not my ability. You can't come to a logical conclusion. I can give reasonable arguments, but by logic, you can't start somewhere and then come to the fact that yes, God is a blue boy. God has romantic dealings. Okay, I think they just came back from Barsana. You can't come to that fact just simply by logic. And therefore, he prays and gets this realization how to present it. And how to present it systematically so that one not only hears the truth, but he understands the truth. And I think most of you were here together where we saw how he did it in the first book and came to the conclusion through Narada's search that the topmost recipients of Krishna's mercy were the gopis. But somehow or other, hearing that, Jaimini Rishi is hearing this story from Janamejaya. Janamejaya is hearing this from Jaimini Rishi. And Janamejaya says, well, there must be more. There must be more. And he's referring to, because he's just heard this story, but who has spoken this story? It's Parikshit summarizing the Bhagavatam in another accessible form, who tells this story of Narada Muni searching for the topmost recipient of Krishna's mercy. And it comes to the point of the gopis in so many creative ways. And he's not Mother Uttara, just when she hears this, she wants to understand it. She said, I understand that the gopis are the most exalted recipients of Krishna's mercy. But what is the environment or place where it manifests? Because the environment supports the particular love you want to exchange. We see that ourselves in the world on how we organize different rooms and different facilities to exchange various forms of love. So there's such a correlation between the place and the people who have that love. So she wants to know the place because the place will help you more deeply understand the love, and the love will help you understand what type of place. So she wants to know more. What about this place? What is this destination? And when Parikshit hears that, he loves the question. You love a question that enables you to speak about the things that you relish the most. Just like when Maharaj Parikshit asked Sukadeva Goswami, what is the duty of a man who's about to die and what should he not do? Sukadeva Goswami, or was it maybe Sutta Goswami? Varian Asha Te Prashna, the most excellent question. Krita, Varian Asha Te Prashna, Krita, Varian Asha Te Prashna, Krita Loka Hitam Napa. For all the people of the world, this is the best question. You love questions that enable you to explain the things that you treasure the most. I remember when I used to visit Narayana Maharaj with Tamal Krishna Maharaj and Burijan Prabhu, and come on in, and Giriraj Swami. Narayana Maharaj was so enlivened by our inquisitiveness, because by our inquisitiveness, he was able to speak the things that were most dear to his heart. I have to greet our guests as they come in. Hey, Malatarada, how was it? Nice?
Beautiful.
Really?
Amazing.
Without a guide, you and the two girls went?
Yes, it was nice.
What was the best part?
We got into the altar to see all the paintings inside the Krishna temple.
Really?
Yes. It was nice.
In the altar?
Like next to the altar, like this.
You just went.
area.
You went to the main temple.
Yes.
That's the main thing you did.
Yes. That's the only thing we.
Was that their first time in Barsana for Sri Rupa? Yeah, maybe.
No, I think this was the second time.
Okay. Anyway, so Marge Prickett is really excited to answer this question. He's really excited to answer this question. And he says the best way for me to answer this question, because there's different ways to answer a question, is to tell you a story that exemplifies the answer to the question you want. And he begins to tell this story, and I think that's what we'll be telling. And I'm realizing it somehow or other. I thought I read the whole Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta, but now I realize I don't think I've ever read the second book. Somehow I was under the illusion that I read the book, so it's kind of a little new to me and exciting. But it's about a Brahmin, and he's ignorant. Because the Shastra, the objective of the Shastra, is to overcome the false ego, the desire to be the enjoyer and controller in this world. All the Vedas present that point. They may have different processes, they may have different conceptions of what the absolute truth is, but they all have that goal of some kind of liberation. Of course, in the Bhakti tradition, our liberation is muktir hitva yata rupam. We not only give up this false form, surupena, we become situated in our real identity. But there's different, but they all basically have the same thing. And therefore, you're most grossly ignorant of Shastra when your goal is to enjoy and control in this material world. Tasyeva heto priyateta kovido talabhyate yad brahmatam upharyata. One who is intelligent, he seeks that which has meaning. He doesn't just wander around the universe aimlessly. He goes and seeks what that has real meaning. So, there's different ways to do it, just like the Natya Shastra. The Natya Shastra was spoken initially in the spiritual world by Lord Brahma to Indra, because he knew, Indra came and said, people, I'm teaching philosophy, but people are not getting over ego. So give me something, so Lord Brahma said, well, okay, I'll give you something audible and visual. So he gave the Natya Shastra, that's about But where are the girls, ladies?
They didn't take prashadam, so they're going for prashadam to the cafe.
Oh, okay. You have their number?
Yes.
Call them because it's a Ekadasi.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, and I'm going to fast. Just send a message to them and tell them they should bring back something for me for dinner. Okay?
Anything in particular?
Uh, yeah. Okay. Okay. So he does us through this story about this Brahmin who's ignorant, but somehow or other, it's really hard to judge a person because Krishna, the karma is inconceivable. You see these people that are rich and powerful, they may be poor in their next life. Yeah, there's just one guy who was sent to me he's 50, sent to me by a god sister that I know. She said this person has read Pranada Devi, read my book, and he's very sincere. And, can you take care of him? I've never seen someone walk into the doors of Bṛhad. When he comes, he opens the door, and there's Jai Jagannath, Hemalata Radha, and Siddheshri in front of the apartment, because he's going to live upstairs. So that's a good start. Look at the ashram, these type of people are here. Then Jai Jagannath takes him for a walk to Sri Rupa Sadhana Kunj. And then as he comes, I'm hosting Kastuba. And we arranged incredible prasadam for them. And it just stopped going and nonstop and everything and every door open. And then he told me he really likes, I never knew she wrote the book, Achyuta Gopi wrote a book called Premala, which is her poetry and her summary of pastimes or something. And he said, I won't bring the book because I'll buy books here, but I'd really like to meet Achyuta Gopi. It was like his goal. I wanted to meet Achyuta and thank her for this wonderful book. And then he went to Vrindavan, and Leela Vilasini was just taking him into the different temples. So he went for prasadam, and then he saw Sri Rupa, and Karuna went one day, and he had met them here. We went on Prikram, and he sat with them. And then Achyuta Gopi comes over the table. No one knew she was here. She was credible. Somebody read her Instagram, invited her to India. She said, I'll only come if you bring my whole family, something like that. And they brought 15, the whole Kafi clan. And somehow there were 50,000 people that attended. And they snuck off to Vrindavan. So every door opened. But he's 50. Before that, you can't tell what the plan is. Some people have been in the movement for 70 years, and someone just comes. But he may be starting from a much higher platform in the previous life. You can't tell. So it's very hard, but somehow or other, this Brahmin who was so ignorant, he somehow or other, let me just see, he worshiped the local goddess. And he was sincere about that. But you worship the goddesses for material gains, but she was satisfied, and somehow inconceivable, he received her in a dream, and he got this mantra. And she gave instructions how to meditate on it and perform various practices. And it was like a treasure. What's going on?
I'm going to tell them because they're not answering.
Okay. And so he chanted constantly. And then somehow this material desires he gave up and his heart was feeling satisfied. So the mantra was having an effect, but he didn't have sambandha gyan. So when you don't have sambandha gyan, the mantra has an effect, but it doesn't. You don't move in a straight line because you don't have knowledge. You have that effect, so you don't know what to do. You don't know how to do it. So you'll do something and it won't satisfy you because of that mantra in the heart. It's like somebody with bhakti. You get the bhakti lata bij in Krishna consciousness. Brahmanda Brahmate, Konya Bhagavan Jeev, Guru Krishna Pasadi Pai Bhakti. You get the bhakti lata bij, you get the seed of devotion. You get that faith, you get that experience. And then you may forget it, but neha bikamanashosti pratyavayo navidyate swalpam apyasya dharmasya. But there's no loss or diminution. Whatever it's in there. It's called rasa graha. You may be doing all nonsense, but rasa graha, you have this influence of rasa, this influence of taste. So we see what happens is people go away, but they can't stay, they come back. We see that all the time. So many of Prabhupada's disciples, sometimes, things were difficult. Prabhupada raised people to this ecstatic platform, but it was his power, it wasn't their own samskara. The samskara was association with Prabhupada, it wasn't their own power. So Prabhupada leaves the planet. They all of a sudden find themselves on the platform of guru and sannyas, but they don't have the energy to keep it up, and then they go and become embarrassed. But it stays within their heart. So it worked. He gave up some material desire. And even the first time he heard it, she had to appear a second time in a dream and repeat that instructions. And I told you that's how spiritual life works. God sees you seeking. And seeking is a sign of humility because you're understanding that there's some authority higher than your own. And that humility, God says, I have a space between the soul and my loving energy, and I will send sadhu Sanga. So somehow or other, Hemalatradi, you seem so satisfied from going there. And then, so he was confused. But even though he was confused, the mantra bestows benefit even without faith or understanding. But with faith or understanding, you're more determined, your faith is stronger. But somehow there's something there's some experience. But without that renewal of that experience, without that spiritual knowledge, etc., you move in different directions. And the way you move forward is by experiencing again that I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not happy in this place. And then, I'm dealing with a lot of devotees who have different experiences, and sometimes they leave. In a way they leave. Somehow I manage to keep connection with people in real strange ways. I'll tell you one. I told this story. There's one girl, she grew up in a devotee family. And her grandmother was so powerful she would worship 2 sets of Radha Krishna deities with full worship, and was engaging a whole community of Russians. And I met her when she was very young, and they were very excited. I would come over in Mayapur. I would come over to their house, and what? Hemalatradi came with me, right? I went to their house, and they served me prasadam, and this young, just charming girl, every time I go, I give her a test, and very proudly, the 9 islands of Navadvip, the 9 items of devotional, and she'd repeat them. So somehow that made an impression, and she kind of asked me for initiation, although she never followed it up. So I think, what kind of relationship is this? But you want to encourage someone young. But every time I come to Mayapur, she'd be excited. And then recently, this is going to be shocking, she told me that she's taken Shahada, initiation, and she became a Muslim. Some samskar from a past life. But she still wants me to be her guru. She still wants me to be her guru. So I told her, no meat eating. She said, yes, I'll never eat meat. I said, you have to serve your mother and a sister, because she doesn't have a father. You have to serve your mother. Actually, what happened is the mother's father died, mother died, then father died, then the mother was, so the family. And I said, you have to never criticize another religion. You have to appreciate all religions. And I said, well, do you still believe in Krishna? She says, well, in the Muslim faith, we don't really know what God is. He's so great. He could be blue. I said, well, okay, if you follow those things, you worship God, and you're vegetarian, and you never criticize any other religion, okay, we can still keep contact. She said, oh, thank you. But in my mind, I'm thinking this samskara is there. Well, anyway, it's not bad. I mean, she's going to be chaste, Other girls, you may be, you see they're just running around with boys and so many things. So she said, definitely, people think there's a man involved. There's no man involved. She told me the whole story. She wrote me the letter. What I'm saying is, the Bhakti Lata Beach in relationship to Krishna is still in her heart. There's no doubt. There's different reasons why people kind of... So anyway, this Brahmin then, we'll read the story. Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta parityaja brahmans tirteshu bhikshaya gato nirvahayam deham Ganga Sagar. He left his home and other connections and began wandering among pilgrimage places, maintaining his bodily needs by begging. And he traveled to the place where the Ganga meets the ocean. So he kept on chanting. And he took up a renounced life. But he still didn't have that sambandha gyan, that real philosophical knowledge. So he was always a bit confused, but not confused, because he had that rasa graha. Prabhupada said, you never look at someone who leaves Krishna consciousness as the same as someone who never took up Krishna consciousness, because that person has rasa graha. He has this feeling and taste in his heart. So that's what's being shown here. And then on the shore of the Ganga, he saw many Brahmins, and they were family men, and they're expert in fields of knowledge and devoted to performing their duties. So it was very impressive. Because the Brahmins, they were strict, they were following the rules. So he was thinking, this is wonderful. Maybe this is it. Maybe this is it. And then he heard from them, and this is what happens. Shushushro shradhanasya vastu-tattvānabhijño sat mahat sevana vipra punya. It's very pious when you're with saintly people. You see how they act, you see how they talk. So even sometimes someone's not a devotee, but if he's in that association, and it's the proper people who are Vaishnavas, we have to become Vaishnavas, not critical of others, you know, always thinking of God, always speaking about Krishna. So he heard them describe regular and occasional duties, one obliged to perform optional duties, particular, and the fruits of these acts, attainment of heaven. So they were expert, and they performed sacrifices and yajnas, and they twice a day they did this on the sunrise and sunset, and they had nitya karma. Nitya means every day they did things. Namitika karma, then there were certain things that were regular but not every day, but you know, the ekadasis, the liturgy, they did those things. And then there were kamya, optional things, just particular things for a particular desire. So they were doing all these duties. And he heard them glorify dharma, that it arises from proper behavior, and the Lord of Dharma is God, and a person who behaves good behavior, he's conquered in this life and next. And then they glorified the heaven of heaven. You're never consumed by misery. And so they heard all these things, and it was very attractive. And then from the words they spoke, they had determined vows. And he saw how these Brahmins had so much intention to perform their duties regularly. We should become religious. Someone asked Jayadvaita, what's your secret? He says, I do the same thing every day. Powerful regulation. You're up, you worship. You chant, Tulsi Puja, whatever it is, you go this and this night, and you have some kind of regulation. As the Chinese proverb says, if you're regulated, then like 1 hour becomes 3. In other words, you're chanting, in 1 hour it's 3 times this. It'll be like that when you're focused. So he began to follow this process according to their instructions. And he not only heard them speak, but they were such exemplars. And they declared their intentions to bathe daily, and he watched them. And although he had never received any spiritual instructions, these Brahmins now were teaching them by their behavior and by their teachings about Dharma. So, but he continued to chant because he was a simple guy, and he had this incredible dream, not once, but twice. And he continued to chant his mantra. And because of the mantra, he wouldn't find pleasure in just these rituals. Just like the sages of Namacharanya, Vayam natu vitriptatma uttama shloka vartate yatrinvatam rasa jnanam swadu. We never become tired. Vayam natu vitriptatma uttama shloka, by chanting about God. Yatrinvatam, when we hear this, rasa jnanam, we hear this knowledge of love. Swadu, swadu, we're tasting it. It's so pleasurable. So the other things become boring. Everybody knows me. I'm like completely bored with swaha. I can't wait till it's over. It's just like a Jewish faith, they had the Seder. And they go, they chant really fast to get to the end, Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta. Bless the wine and take the drink. Boom. It's all boring. You want to get to the end. So he had some feeling. When we walk around Govardhan, and when we get around the last part, it's beautiful in the forest. Govardhan is a place that's increased in its beauty over the last 20 years. So many trees have been planted. They block the cars from coming in. They're doing some things. And that's devotion. Devotion is feeling the energy between you and God. Whether it's the mantra, whether it's the devotees. So he lost interest on that. So then he went to Kashi, and he saw people from many different religions, and especially the sannyasis who were propounding Advaitavad. So their renunciation was very attractive. So he thought, maybe this is it. And he offered his obeisances to Lord Vishveshvara, Lord Shiva, and then visited the various ashrams. And he bowed down to the sannyasis, and he had discussion with them, and he rested in their company. And they were so pure, at least from their philosophical talks. And they describe liberation, getting out of all the pain of this world, as if they held it in the palm of their hand. And they influence them to accept their opinions as perfect. And he would constantly hear Vedanta, glorifying renunciation and liberation. He would bathe in the Manikarnika Ghat and have darshan of Lord Vishveshvara. Without having to work for his meals, he would enjoy tasty food to his liking in the company of the sannyasis. And then he developed a desire. He wanted to become a sannyasi himself. But out of respect for that goddess, because it gave him pleasure within, he never gave up the chanting. And one day he saw the deity of his mantra in a dream. The charm of Gopal attracted him and gave him the greatest ecstasy because he got the Gopal mantra. And therefore he no longer could find the mental strength to engage in anything other than his mantra. He lost that desire. But he became confused and he became depressed. And then somehow or other, Lord Shiva came to him along with the goddess to instruct him. And Lord Shiva said, foolish man, don't take sannyas. Go at once to Sri Mathura. There in Vrindavan forest, you will surely fulfill all your desires. So actually what's going to happen on Sunday now is at 9 a.m. ET, I have another class. So I'm really trying to figure, I took some nap in the afternoon. You can see I'm not fatigued during the class. I have more energy. So I have another class, and it's such a great opportunity. And like I say, I'm here for seva. I have I went into Vrindavan the other day. They sent a car. Siddheshri and Hemalata Radha came with me, and 90 people. I was leading kirtan, everybody's chanting and dancing, and then I spoke. Then they came, and then they called me to Radha Kund, and I did kirtan, and I spoke there. And now, I don't know many details. It's a very nice devotee, Malika Mala, She just came to my retreat just herself. It's like an all-star retreat, if you knew some of the people that came. And she just really liked my whatever I give. And she wanted it for her group. And you could see she's an extremely humble but very powerful leader. Very powerful. I saw with these 80 people, they weren't practically devotees by the end, they were just didn't want to leave. So she really wants me to be part of this Bhagavad Gita University by teaching what I suggested, because what I want to give is not Gita. I have nothing against Gita, but I did that before. I want to give what others are not giving. And I want to give this Vrindavan mood in a very appropriate way. And they have 200 leaders in their organization. There's 500,000 something on our Instagram. They're just, one person was at my retreat, I know him, and he's a preacher. He listed 200 questions, Krishna consciousness, and made short TikTok videos of answers to 200 questions, so 200 TikTok videos. 50 million likes or hits, 50 million. So somehow or other, I'm getting a chance to do this for 200 people. So I'm pretty excited about that. Bhakti means to make yourself available for service. I prefer to just stay in my room all day, but ultimately I prefer what Krishna wants. And yeah. Okay. Jamunajaya, are you there? You want to start? She's not there. Oh, she went to her teaching already. Okay. Okay, Gail, are you there?
I'm here, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Any reflections, questions?
Yeah, I was just thinking about the fact that, a seeker, Krishna responds to if they've already received the Bhakti Lata Bij, right?
You know what? I forgot my hearing aids. If they're on me. That's my only kryptonite, Gail. They must be on that table there.
The small table?
Yeah. Or on the windowsill.
Oh, here.
I'm allowed to do this now. It's called retired life. I'm 75. When you get older, you're supposed to just have nothing to do. Okay, Gail, yeah, what?
Yeah. So it seems that only if you've received the Bhakti Lata Bij, right, that Krishna will respond to the hankering in your heart. But a person who is dissatisfied with material life, but who has not received that Bhakti Lata Bij, Krishna won't respond.
Does Krishna respond?
Well,
Yeah, you can't, Krishna will respond, but you don't know what the time limit is. We all have a different karma when the response will be most suitable after certain experiences we have to further detach us from the world and whatever misconceptions we are. So we can't figure that out. But ultimately, and God approaches. I mean, even this girl I said who became a Muslim, she's still serving her parents, her mother, and the deities. Yeah, she's still worshiping God. she sent me her namaz. It seemed okay. It was, oh God, I want to worship you. And, it's just not, she's not just so defined that it's Krishna, but she's not, it's like a Brahmavadi. She's not against Krishna. She says it could be blue, but her faith is somehow went in the other way, not the other way, yeah.
But would he send, but a person who has not been exposed to Krishna consciousness, would he send such a person devotee association?
It's complex. It's some people do not want the variety of the spiritual world, and Krishna manifests in Brahman to help them transcend the world. You can't just quantify exactly how Krishna is going to deal with everyone. Ultimately, Vedaishta Sarveham Eva Vedyo Vedanta Vid Vedavid Eva Chaham. I have to go because I have this other class. Okay. Thank you all for coming. I'm looking at the list. So many nice people. I'm seeing every single person that's come. And I'm thinking of every single person that's coming and praying to Govardhan to bless you. Okay, I have this other class coming.